It's the ultimate guide to picking the ultimate Digicam.
Hey everyone, it's vmcampos photography fan. Welcome to another Digicams for Days episode. This is a series where I can talk about Digicams for days. In this video, I'm going to show you my top 10 Digicams that you must know about, that you must pick up for yourself before prices skyrocket because of influencers like me. Anyway, this is not in the top 10, this is an honorable mention. This is the Canon PowerShot SD870IS. It's got various names in various markets. I love this camera. It has all the great features, a great CCD chip, a nice big monitor here, and a great zoom range. If you're looking for the affordable version of the IT camera, the SD870 is a good pick, but that's not part of the top 10, it's an honorable mention. Now, spoiler alert, my top 10 isn't really a top 10 like starting from 10 and going down to 1 for the best. This is actually 10 various cameras that I think are amazing for various purposes. Here's the set it and forget it easy answer. The Canon PowerShot A590IS. Now, the SD branch of cameras has a lot of hype, but I think the A branch camera is a bit underrated. I love this camera. I've had it since I bought it way back in 2009. This camera is a 2008 vintage camera with 8 megapixels and a 4x optical zoom. Try to get cameras with more optical zoom. Digital zoom is trash. So anyway, this has got a nice big screen, very cool tactile buttons, good zoom range, and it runs on AA batteries. No need for proprietary chargers that you need to replace. This is my set it and forget it easy camera. It's got all of these easy modes to activate, but wait a minute, it's got pro modes as well. Time value, aperture value, manual. If you know a little bit about photography, you can get very creative by manually setting your aperture, manually setting your shutter speed, or going completely manual with everything. I've been very happy with the results of this camera, the Canon PowerShot A590IS. My choice for the top underrated camera, Digicamera, is the Samsung NV11. Actually, the whole NV line of cameras is very underrated. I really like their style. They're these black cameras that just have great curves, great lines. The NV11 is from 2007 and it's got 10 megapixels. What's really fascinating about this camera is the interface. It's a touch interface, but not in the sense that you touch the screen. You touch these buttons on the side over here to activate all of its features. The whole NV line works around the same principles here, and look it up for yourself which NV is perfect for you. Like the NV24 has a nice wide 24mm wide angle. This one isn't as wide, but it's still a nice amount of zoom if you want that. And this is also a fully manual camera if you want to use manual mode. You can go from the full program do it for me to the manual modes that I can set for myself. All the shutter speeds, ISO, f-stops and everything, I can set that for myself. So I love going into manual mode. I've been into photography for like 20 years. But if you're just starting off and you need an easy answer, program mode gives you great results. And if you want even more power, you go into the manual modes. So I really like the style of the Samsung cameras, and I believe the NV line is the top underrated cameras. Alright, Panasonic, they make some amazing cameras. Their whole Lumix line is still beloved to this day. But here I'm showing you their very first TZ or TZ1, first released in 2006 with 6 megapixels. And why I really like this camera a lot is its amazing zoom capabilities. When you want to zoom in all the way, this takes you to a tremendous 10x zoom. Very few Digicams of this age can bring you that close to the camera. I just showed a 4x a moment ago. This is a 10x zoom, 10 times the furthest zoom. This can get me 10 times even closer. It doesn't have a manual mode, but its automatic program mode gives great results. I'm vintage, I like the old stuff. I went with the TZ1, but there were several generations getting better and better and better. You'll do really well with the TZ line. Plus, they're more affordable than the other Lumix brands out there that are just getting way more hype. So the TZ line of cameras is my pick for the best zoom capabilities in a Digicam. It is a little bit chunkier than other Digicams, but hey, that's a style too. That's a vibe as well. And if it is easy to use and gives you the results that you want, this is the perfect pick. If you want chonk, I'll give you chonk. How about the Kodak P880? This is my pick for the widest angle. This is 24 millimeters of wideness, which zooms all the way to 140. But if you want a nice wide shot, here we go, 24 millimeters in this Digicam. Now this is the first one that I'm showing that shoots raw images. So if you have software like Photoshop and the like that can access raw images, you can squeeze out some amazing results out of this Kodak CCD sensor. The good old Kodak color science, it's beautiful. And so you get a raw image, you get a very wide angle or 140 millimeters close up. And hey, what's this? All of these professional modes, shoot it in auto program override, and shoot it in all of the classic aperture, shutter speed, or manual modes, plus built-in other scene modes. What's interesting is this is an early EVF, electronic viewfinder. To be honest, it's not going to be as good as the modern EVFs, but this camera from 2005 is so ahead of the curve. Manual modes, raw file formats, very wide angle, and then a whole bunch of other modes that you can set up. Plus it's got the Kodak color science. These are another ones that are kind of under the radar. Go check prices on eBay. What would make these perfect is that they were interchangeable lenses. These are not interchangeable lenses, but hey, you've even got the manual tactile focus ring, plus a zoom patch in the middle of the screen. This has been a very enjoyable camera to use. The whole Easy Share line is pretty cool. My family was so into the Easy Share cameras back in the day, and this one would have been a bit out of our budget, but nowadays you can get this for peanuts. Built-in flash as well. This is my pick for a great wide-angle camera with lots of features, the Kodak P880. Going in the opposite direction, here's a very tiny, compact, pocketable Casio XLM EXS10. Just rolls off the tongue. So it's tiny, it's hefty enough, it feels good in the hand, and it's got this beautiful silver design. This one is from 2008, and it's got 10 megapixels. 10 megapixels in your pocket, that's amazing. Very nice tactile feel to all of the buttons. Turns on the drop of a hat. There's your zoom range. Very stylish design. This silver is just a classic Digicam style. In this sort of deck of cards sized camera then has it extend the lens to fill the whole wide to zoom range. Interface is nice. It's not a touchscreen. Who needs touchscreens? Battery life lasts very well. It is a proprietary rechargeable battery, but everything's just tiny about this camera. That's why this is my pick for a tiny digital camera that does everything that you need. The Casio XLM EXS10. Maybe you want colors in your Digicam styles. I really love the Konica Coolpix line. This is the S220. It's pretty compact, not as compact as that XLM I just showed you, but it's compact. What I like about this line of cameras is you've got a bunch of colors. How about a purple digital camera, a red one, a teal one? All of these colors that they just don't really have anymore like they used to. Yeah, you can get a color for your phone case. Why are we so into Digicams? Because it doesn't have apps, because it doesn't have notifications, because it doesn't have distractions. It just focuses on photography. And so this 2009 10 megapixel camera is where I want to be. A good wide and zoom range. Records video. Classic early 2000s video aesthetic right here. SD memory cards. And just a great style. You can't go wrong with the Nikon Coolpix S220. Oh yeah, let's go vintage. Let's go to a time that maybe some of you weren't even born yet. This is the 2002 Sony DSC P51. Yeah, I can hardly believe it. 2 megapixels with original stickers. Classic Sony style. This form factor is just out of this world. It doesn't exist anymore at all. It just screams early 2000s. It's got the Sony video camcorder style as well as the interface and the sounds and everything. Now, the problem with this is that, okay, it's got AA batteries, that's actually a plus, but the problem is that it uses the old Sony memory sticks, and I'm talking about the old Sony memory sticks, not the memory stick Duo and Pro and all of that. You got to go to the original Magic Gate, the original smallest ones, and 128 is basically the maximum that this thing can take. This 128 megabytes, not gigabytes. So you're also going to need a special adapter for your computer to read these. So that's the biggest downside. Just the memory card is kind of annoying to work with on this old camera. But once you've got the correct memory card in there, you just have this classic vintage Sony aesthetic. This 20-year-old digital camera that just doesn't look like anything out there. You're going to get so many stares when you go take photos with this little beauty. You're going to get to show off and be a hipster. Like, oh, you're taking photos with your latest 50 megapixel camera? I only need 2 megapixels, sir. This is such a vibe. And yeah, with 2 megapixels, here's my tip for 2 megapixels. Get close. There's so few megapixels in this sensor that when you're far away from your subject, every pixel on the screen just gets blurred together. You need to get close to your subject so that your subject fills the tiny sensor and every pixel is captured. You've only got 2 million megapixels to work with. Make them all count. Get close. Plus, flash can give you some great style on your photos as well. If you really want to show off your vintage digital camera cred, you need the Sony DSC P51. Oh, so you're saying you want to be the hipster amongst the hipsters? Then you've got to go to the next level here. This is the Sony DSC F717. I can't even fit it in my camera view here. But this amazing camera doesn't look like any of the ones that I've shown so far. This camera is also from the early 2000s. This is also a 2002 camera, and yeah, it shoots video, but it's a photography-focused camera, and the form factor is just out of this world. Well, it's also got a lens cap, but the form factor is out of this world. Check this out. Whoa, that swivels so that you can be looking down and then looking at different angles where you're shooting. It's got a huge flash unit as well, 10 times precision digital zoom. Again, I said digital zoom is trash, but it's got manual focus with this focus ring right over here. You've got your zoom in, you've got your zoom out, you've got the classic Sony style. Ooh, those classic Sony sounds. And yeah, buttons for macro and everything, and you can see through the viewfinder here or through the little screen over here. Now, this is an amazing camera because it also has night vision mode. I currently have a filter on this. There it is without the filter. So it takes like real camera filters. This is an IR filter, an infrared filter. It blocks all frequencies below 950 nanometers. Basically, it lets you see in the infrared portion of the electromagnetic spectrum. Like right now I have it on and I can't see anything. Well, if I change this to night mode, hey, I'm starting to see stuff over there. So the secret of this camera is that if you slap on an IR filter and switch over to night vision mode, in the middle of the day you'll be able to take some amazing shots of a whole new spectrum of light that humanity cannot see. You get some really amazing black and white images and even some color images with some Photoshop trickery. There's also a technique that if you magnetize a portion of the camera, which is right here, you can activate night shot mode in the other user modes. You can't do night shot in manual mode, invalid, unless you do the tricks of the special magnet. That'll also let you take some great shots, night shots, IR shots with a filter and so forth. So this is my pick right here for an amazing off-the-wall camera, great form factor. It has this night shot infrared technique that you can do with it, and almost no cameras in the world have this. Now there's the big brother, the F828, that is even better because it also shoots raw images. This one doesn't. But if you want a really cool out-of-the-box camera, the Sony F717 should be on your list. Alright, my final picks over here are not Digicams in the sense that I've been showing the previous ones. I am going to go over to some DSLR cameras over here. These are some affordable, high-quality digital SLRs. Now we are moving over to CMOS sensors rather than CCD sensors, and many people will die on the hill of CCD is better than CMOS. And for some things, yes, and for some things, no. Don't get caught up on what is CCD versus CMOS. The thing is, can you take the photos that you want? Are you happy with the results? Then it doesn't matter the sensor, and it's the right camera. So anyway, here we go with the DSLR, the Rebel XS, also known as the Rebel EOS 1000D. This is from 2008, 6 megapixels. And what's great about this camera, of course, is it's got the full manual mode, aperture priority, time value, etc. All of that great manual control. And with that manual control, it gives you then a full range of real lenses. So spoiler alert, a camera is just a black box to gather light. And with a camera like a DSLR, then it's all about the lenses. It's about the glass. This, for example, is just the classic EFS 18 to 55 millimeter. So you go from a wide angle to a zoomed in angle, or vice versa. And so you can get a range of shots. Now this is just a classic lens that comes with this kind of camera. You can get something like the EFS 17 to 85, so even more wide angle, and at a higher quality 85 millimeter. There's also ultrasonic, image stabilization, and so forth. Big piece of glass. You want to go on the other end, the EFS 24 millimeter. Great wide angle, pancake lens that gives you a nice field of vision with all of your manual modes or programmed modes. Again, it's about the glass. When you upgrade up to a DSLR, especially a very affordable one like this that I picked up recently for a steal, it's all about the lenses. I was already into the Canon ecosystem, so I had all of these various lenses, so they just fit there no problem. And the Canon EF mount is one of the most popular ones out there. There's so many lenses out there, so many options. Don't forget to get yourself one of these nifty 50 millimeter ones. This is the 1.8, just this classic Canon. Mine's the version 2, not the STM. I really don't like STM lenses. This is an STM. STM is great for when you're shooting video. I'm not interested in video, but this is just a classic 1.8 50 millimeter. Gives some very nice bokeh. The nice blurry backgrounds. This is the classic 50 millimeter that everyone needs. Years ago when I was still shooting film, I also picked up this 50 millimeter, but here's a macro lens. I can get all the way down to 0.18 meters or 0.62 feet. So I can zoom in to get, so I can focus in to get that 1-to-1 ratio of a perfect macro shot. This one's from Quantaray. And again, this EF mount can use a variety of types of lenses, not just from Canon, but from a lot of manufacturers like Quantaray, aka Sigma. I've had a lot of great results throughout the years with this lens and various camera bodies. If you're interested in taking it to the next level, the Canon EOS 5D Mark I, or Classic, whatever people want to call it, is your way to go. This is a full frame CMOS sensor. So it's the full 30 millimeter size sensor. This is from 2005, 13 megapixels. This is also the EF mount. So these various lenses that I was showing here also are compatible. Actually, be careful. The EF mount are compatible, not the EFS mount. These won't fit with that camera unless some of them that can be altered by removing this extra piece here. Now it's compatible, although you show off all the circuitry and such. So EFS lenses could be compatible with your full frame EF camera, or just go with the EF lenses. And so yeah, full frame, super high quality sensor, very affordable, the EOS 5D Mark I, although I will say that the Mark II is probably a better camera. Couple years later, it does video and it has live view shooting. This one doesn't do video, it doesn't have live view shooting, but it's a big old monster of a camera, professional level, digital camera, early 2000s aesthetic, with an EF mount that can take a variety of types of lenses. Even like these vintage lenses from the 70s. Hey, here is the Canon 50mm f1.4 vintage lens from the 70s. This creates some crazy bokeh, some beautiful images. Now the lens mount is not automatically compatible. It's a different type of lens mount. Completely different, completely vintage, mechanical. So you're gonna need an adapter to use these vintage lenses with this 5D or the Rebel XS that I showed. But once you get that adapter, you have access to an even wider range of lenses. Here's a 135mm f3.5. This Canon lens from the 70s as well. Beautiful results, gets you very close to the action. Or maybe you want to go on the wide end. Here we have a 28mm. Here's the Calamar MC Auto Macro 2.8 28mm. So classic vintage lens with the clickable apertures, zoom, scale, depth of field, and here's the adapter. So shout out to Photodiox. This adapter with speed up glass fits onto the EF mount and lets you use these old FD lenses, no problem, with beautiful results. Even though this is sort of like a wide angle type of a lens, getting in close to the 0.3 meters can give you some great results, some great bokeh. And with yet another adapter, you can also get into the whole world of M42 mount lenses. Here is the Yashinon DS 50mm f1.4. Just another beautiful 50mm lens with an amazing aperture of 1.4 all the way up to f16. Pro tip on these lenses, if you stop down 2 stops, that's often the sweet spot or so. You'll get some beautiful results out of these old vintage mechanical lenses that can still be used in relatively modern cameras. Again, at a certain point, it's about the lens, not the body. And lastly, in this top 10 list, here's one more honorable mention, the Lumix GF4 Mirrorless. This is a 2011 camera, 12 megapixels, and it is mirrorless, so it can be incredibly tiny, incredibly compact, micro four thirds sensor. And with the right adapters, all of these lenses that I just showed here will work with this tiny terror. I've been going crazy breathing life into all of these lenses with my brand new Lumix GF3. So I had to put it on the list of my favorite Digicams. And that was my list of my top 10 favorite Digicams. What did you think? What was your favorite one? Do you have suggestions for your own favorite wide angle, compact, mirrorless, full frame? Tell me in the comments. Have you gotten into Digicams and are wondering where to get started? Hopefully this video helps you. If it does, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. If you really like this video, don't forget to go to my Patreon, patreon.com/vmcampos, and pledge to the channel for $3.33 a month. What a deal. For that price, you can help fund the channel, you can keep it going, you can become a part of it. Patreon.com/vmcampos. In the meantime, don't forget to like and all that good stuff. Smash that subscribe button, as they say. This has been VM Campos with another episode of Digicams for Days, and I'll see you next time.